But here's an interesting thing from my old friend George Moranville out in Lexington.
Ah, George.
Did you ever know George?
Yeah, of course. I know who George is.
Daddy said sell, not that one. It's another one. But he sent along one of the links about, he just emailed me. This was just several days ago. He sent the attachment of The Policeman Is Your Friend that Leaping Lanny did, the record that we talked about, because that was done, I think, while Lanny was over in Lexington. And a link on, what we were talking about, that, Vince wanting $9 billion for the WWE. And he brought up that he bought WCW for between 2 and 4, depending on what people say, $1 million. And he wants $9 billion for the WWE. That's interesting. But he also made mention of, remember we talked about, you didn't know that Jarrett had actually run Lexington, Kentucky at some points before the Rep Arena days.
Right, yeah.
And the reason we mentioned that it wasn't a steady, it wasn't an uninterrupted run was because they couldn't get the TV there consistently. But in the early days, I thought they had a show, a TV on for like the early 70s, and had done well at the Lexington Catholic High School gym. And then later on, ICW had run, I think, at Henry Clay High School gym. But anyway, George says, appreciated the discussion about ICW and especially Jarrett running shows at Lexington Catholic High School. I'm trying to figure out what year that would have been that I begged my mom to take me to a show there. She gave in, but would never do it again as there was a riot and the heels had to fight their way back to the locker room, and it terrified my mother. I feel like I was 9 or 10 years old, but that would have put it in 1972 or 1973, and that's about 72-ish is about that time period. He said, I was terrified as well. Don't remember the card other than Tojo was on it, and everyone was scared of him. Tojo had an aura in those days. But yeah, a Catholic high school gym, they have a riot, and the mother is scared to take the kid back. But maybe that also, Rep Arena was had a little more room to get in and out of there.
Hey, just for timeline, because I'm trying to, as we're talking about this, so ICW was running Lexington before Jarrett got into Rupp Arena, correct?
No. See, you're all over the place, Jerry. You're just all over the place. No.
Because I was thinking about the story about the heat with Lance Russell, where Randy Savage was like climbing the fence trying to, I don't know if he was really going to get to Lance Russell, but trying to get to Lance Russell and yelling at him.
Yes.
Because of the TV.
Well, no, see, what did you hear? Was it a TV taping?
No. I thought part of it was because they were in Lexington and just that alone, but a part of it may have been about the TV situation, which was one of the reasons why Lance was there to begin with, right?
Well,
he had the relationship with the television station.
But here's the thing. Jarrett was running Lexington before the Poffos, but the Poffos were based in Lexington, so therefore it was easier for them to come to Rupp Arena and fuck with Jarrett's guys, because instead of having to go to them. But no, what happened was the Poffos started running in spring of 1979 when they came back they had just previously just worked for, who in Nova Scotia? Help me. Was it Emile Dupree or was it the other office?
I always get the two confused.
Zink, whatever the case. Anyway.
I think it was Dupree.
Point is, they moved down here and they started working with the guys that split off from Fuller in Knoxville, Ronnie Garvin, Orton, Roop Malenko in Knoxville, but also they started doing their own ICW TV tapings. So this was April, May, June, 79-ish. Jarrett started in Rupp Arena I'm going to say off the top of my head without looking at my notes, in either May or June of 1978. But you are correct on the story that the way they got television there, because they hadn't run Lexington for a live event since I'd really gotten involved in the matches in Louisville and knew enough that Miss Jarrett would have told me that, that they were doing that. So it had been 3 or 4 years at least, probably back to 74, maybe early 75. And so they got Lance as the program director a previous program director of WHBQ in Memphis, and currently host of the most popular program on WMC TV, Channel 5 in Memphis, which was an NBC affiliate, that knew the guy that had worked, or the guy that was currently the program director or station manager, one or the other, at WLEX 18, which was an NBC affiliate in Lexington. And so he made the connection and sold him on the show. So for that, Lance got some percentage of the town, as well as, which he obviously capitalized on, and they gave him the opportunity to run spot shows off of that TV also for himself, and he ran Mount Sterling, Kentucky, as the actual promoter one time, and we went out there and he did well, but it was too far. Lance was already busy enough with the show on Saturdays and the Coliseum on Mondays, and the fact that he was already in his 60s and didn't need to be driving almost 500 miles to run spot shows in Eastern Kentucky. So that part of it never really materialized for him.
But that's a year after he leaves the TV station to go full-time to work for Jarrett. So this is a pretty big thing. A year later, he brings in a major town.
Yeah, and that would go on to be per capita, per show, Jarrett's biggest grossing town, because yes, it only ran monthly, but when it was hot, it did houses bigger than gates, bigger than Memphis, because the ticket prices and the way the building was set up, and definitely bigger than Louisville, because of the houses in Lexington that were the biggest ones, when they do 7,000 or 8,000 people, wouldn't have gone in the Louisville Gardens. And Lexington, at the same time, was a third of the size of Louisville population-wise.
Did Lance do the ring announcing at all the Lexington shows?
Almost all of them. There were a few times he couldn't make the trip. I don't, if sick, vacation, whatever the case, but almost the whole time I was there until I got into business and left the territory, that he would be the ring announcer. And that's another thing that made it look like a big event, well, there's Lance himself.
And Lance one night is walking to the car, and there's Randy Savage screaming at him from the side.
And that's why, at least because of that, they let the guys start parking inside the Rupp Arena. They'd open up the garage doors, let the guys park inside instead of having to park in the lot.
When all these ICW guys are yelling at the Memphis wrestlers, of course, the famous incident where Dundee gets jumped, I could see Randy Savage and Pez Watley and Ron Gar. I could see various people getting mad and yelling, Randy Savage especially, all wired up like he was. What about Lanny? Did he yell at anyone? Like, hey, over there. Like, I can't see him. Lance Russell, you piece of crap. Like, I can't see him doing it.
No, I don't.
Is honestly, he capable vocally of yelling at someone?
Oh, come on now. He had a great voice. No, he may have been on television participating in some of the promos where they would mention the other guys or call the other guys out or whatever. I don't remember him doing it or participating in it. And Lanny wasn't the kind of guy who was going to go hang out in the parking lot and yell at people, And so it was, yes, it was definitely the more over the top personalities, that were doing that. And the thing with Dundee also was not at the matches.
Right, it was at the gym.
It was at the gym in Gallatin or Hendersonville, maybe on Gallatin Road or whatever. But
who worked behind the counter at the gym?
Wasn't that was Candy Divine, wasn't it?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
President of the Lanny Poffo fan club.
Who may have also been the Eagle Scout that spotted Dundee there to begin with and alerted the troops. We never know about these things.
We could put together all the phone calls that happened. The first one's Candy Divine calling someone saying, you guys aren't going to believe this. I know you're leaving that show you did in Memphis last night with Thunderbolt, but Bill Dundee's here. He's even wearing his Macho Man trunks. Come get him. The next call is to Saul Weingroff. How do we get out of this county as fast as we can?